This is Cheney. Been to Cheney before. I actually came here to walk a while to get here, and I'm not actually going to even be in Cheney for long because I am taking a left and going down this road. Apparently there's something to find at the end of this road, at least that's the plan. We have to cross some railroad tracks here, and as far as I know these are active, very active, so I am being careful and looking both ways. And then once I leave town, looks like there's a sidewalk on that side. Oh, and we have a path on this side too. And none of this, we're going to see something different from this is the plan, but I just want to show the road there. Right here we are kind of outside of town, but if you look across the street, there's a big apartment complex. So they are doing a good job at building housing in Cheney. I don't know if that's student specific or something like that, but it is housing. And it seems like it's only a little bit to where I will turn off of this road and go on the path I really came for. So apparently this is all marked as a pathway. So I wasn't just walking along the shoulder of a road, I was walking along the shoulder of a pathway, or walking along a pathway. It was a little bit longer to get here, but still under a mile, and I think this is where I'm looking for. I guess I'll find out. Well, this looks like a path, and I certainly don't want to continue that way. Notice there's no signs though, so if you didn't know this was here, and even if you did, you might not know it was here. And I believe this is where I'm going to be walking down. But first I'm going to check out this area, see if there's a kiosk. Also notice there's a trail going that way. Also notice this is paved. Past this point, while it looks well maintained, it's on gravel. So there is some helpful information here. We are right here. And north of here, this paved part of the trail goes to Fish Lake County Park, and past there, because the Fish Lake Trail that goes all the way to Spokane near Lake Creek, where we've been before. And apparently goes 23 miles from here, and then it continues another form past there. But for now, I'm not walking 23 miles. And we are also in the Turnbull National Wildlife Refuge. So if you're really interested in the jurisdictions of parks, looks like we have a combined state and federal natural area here, so to speak. And I don't know how much of the wildlife refuge will actually be open. I guess I'll find out. So I'm just going to walk along this gravel part of the trail and see what I can see. We have 1.25 miles to the Turnbull National Wildlife Refuge north. So I'm going to go at least that far. And it said like the restroom is almost 5 miles. I don't think I'm going to do 5 miles because that's 10 miles round trip, then going back to Cheney. So going to do at least a mile or two though. So for context, it is the 14th of November. It's actually not as cold as it could be. It's around 50 Fahrenheit, but you can see with those gray skies, and you might hear the wind, not the most comfortable day. If this was a perfect day, a little bit earlier in fall or in spring, I might make an entire day of this, but because of the limited hours, it's kind of just seeing what's here. 360. 360 what? I don't know. Is that meters, feet? Is that miles? I mean, this trail connects other things. Could that be 360 miles? Or else, it's a command. So far, it is a trail, and a trail is always nice, but we're not in a natural area yet. And maybe that's what we'll start when we get to the Turnbull National Wildlife Refuge. Maybe we're not there yet. But I'm still enjoying myself, such as it is. So this says 359A. I don't know if it was a mile since 360. There's some geese, by the way. But maybe it was. Which also means that somewhere close to here, I might be close to the National Wildlife Refuge entrance. Another good aspect of my camera, this video camera, is that with my zoom, I can see something up in the distance. I can confirm that is a bridge. So presumably somewhere around there might be some other type of entrance or trailhead. And like I say, I will find out. I will make some decisions once I make it to the bridge. So far, this doesn't look like what I thought it would look like, because on the map it showed that this was actually passing through the National Wildlife Refuge. And so far, it does not look like that is the case, at least for most of it. So there might be a sign or something, especially if there's another trailhead at this road. If not, I can always check my phone. I mean, that is an idea. Oh, there's an osprey's nest. Maybe that means we are close to a lake or a body of water. Maybe that means absolutely nothing. Looks like they need to do some repair work on it, though. Okay, so this is the entrance to the National Wildlife Refuge. As you look at this road, this was the road I was originally going to come in on, and then I saw that I could enter closer to town than just walk along the trail to here. And I think this is how to re-enter that road, and I think that that road will be how I get out when it's time to leave. So now that I've entered the National Wildlife Refuge, I do want to spend a little bit of time here, see if I can see any wildlife. So that's what we'll do, but at this point also it's starting to rain a little bit. I don't know how much fuel I have in the tank today. One reason I like walking around is that times like this, it's when I eat things like Doritos and Little Debbie Swiss rolls. I do that all the time, but especially when I'm out like that. And, you know, that might just be calories, but on a cold, rainy day when you're walking for a couple miles, calories are good. That's also why I listen to Def Leppard on my flip phone. It's like when I'm out on an adventure, all my normal rules are kind of suspended. Not that I normally have rules, but if I did, they would be suspended. You can see in here, we have waterfowl flying overhead. I thought that was a group of ducks floating on the water surface. Apparently that is a downed tree. We have this beautiful hawthorn tree here with this contrast between the leaves, which are still yellow, and then the red berries. One thing about this walk is that most of it has been, you know, the really typical plateau vegetation. A lot of ponderosa pine. And probably, though, there are pockets of things like that where you do see deciduous trees and shrubs and more flowering plants, but not obviously, especially in the middle of November, really botanically diverse and rich. Along with that, we do have our friends the geese. Haven't seen a lot of zoological diversity too, but again, middle of November. I heard it, now I saw it. It certainly sounds like a red-tailed hawk. So as I have done more walking, gotten further into the park, I have noticed a few more signs of wildlife, and that was beyond just sounds. That was quite ornate. This really isn't a park, and there isn't really a lot of amenities, but I do see a bench here. One thing right now is I'm continuing because there is a place called Long Lake, and I do want to go and see that. One thing to consider for me is that it is about 3:05 p.m., 3:10 p.m., and the sun goes down before 4:30. It will still be a little bit light, but I want to get back to Cheney before then, or at least not too far after then, so that's kind of calculated into my plans. Mentioned, this is a pretty sparsely vegetated area compared to west of the Cascades, and so doesn't always appeal to people in the same way. but there really is a sense of openness to just see how far ahead and how far behind that trail just continues. So one obvious guess about what these could be is these could be old railroad mile signs. It would make sense. And it's also, in case I didn't mention this, this is a rail to trails corridor. There's a lot of active railroad lines around here, and this was probably a sideline that they didn't need and retired. Going through this rocky terrain is also a little bit more interesting to me than when it was just a path going through fields. Also, I have some shelter. The wind is not blowing as hard underneath these rocks. So there is Long Lake. As its name suggests, it's longer in one direction than the other. So we've actually been following it for a while. And don't know if there's a viewpoint or access here, or if that happens in a while. So this is the spot, and I kind of assumed or thought there might be something here, like a trail system or an overlook or access to the lake, even if it was a boardwalk. As far as I can tell, there's nothing. There's a fence there. Compared to Findlay and a couple other national wildlife refuges, this has a lot less friendly to the casual visitor, I would say. But you know, that's why it's a national wildlife refuge, not an amusement park. But I'm glad that I came this far, saw this look, but I have to kind of hurry this way because I have an hour to get back to Cheney, and it took me, I think, 2.5 hours, an hour and a half to get to this point. Of course, I took a different route and I was stopping, but yeah, I do have to hurry along to get back to Cheney. From here, if I really zoom in, there's the bridge I'm gonna take left at. And as is so often the case on a walk, the way back might be a lot shorter, a lot longer than the way in. In this case, I think it's shorter because, you know, on the way in, a lot of it was like worrying, am I in the right place? Am I wandering nowhere? Am I getting anywhere? But it really wasn't that long. So I've been able to see the bridge in the distance for a while, but sometimes I wonder if I'm getting any closer to it. So I'm pretty convinced that those are mile signs, and I think we went from a little bit from before 360 to a little bit after 358. So that's about 3 miles. And one thing on a hike like this, or a walk like this, 3 miles is a stroll around the neighborhood, but that's 3 miles both ways, and then it may take a mile to get to the trailhead or something. And so suddenly a 3-mile walk becomes an 8-mile walk, and 8 miles is a long way in a movie I haven't seen. So that's something to consider, like, because when you're planning a walk, or when I'm planning a walk, I have to remember that along with the size of the trail, which on the map doesn't look very much, those bits and bobs of getting to and from places and those fractions of a mile, they do add up. But apparently I have reached where I'm getting off the road, and as you can see, still light in the sky, although not as light as I wish it would be. So this was something I didn't say because it would have been a prediction and it might have turned out wrong. But I was on this trail for a couple hours. I have not seen a single person. No hikers, nobody on horseback, no bicyclists. And usually on a trail, you know, if I'm there for a while, I'll see at least one person. But it is the middle of November. So that is a little bit, that makes sense, but it's still a little bit strange. We're also close to college campus, and I would think that, you know, maybe there'd be some adventurous or studious students out exploring, didn't see anything. So if you like solitude, it's very lonely, and there's some type of, it gets atmospheric out on that long, kind of dreary trail today with nobody there. And I'm hoping this leads back to the road, and I hope that the road has a path or a wide shoulder. I guess I'll find out. Okay, well this kind of sucks, but hopefully it's not too far into town. This still isn't the greatest walk, but I do have a shoulder here, and apparently road bends there, and then I'll be back in Cheney, so not terrible, but far, far from ideal. This is not the first bottle I've seen, or even the second. So this is what maybe the students have been doing when they should be studying waterfowl habitat. I guess I shouldn't make light of that, because people are actually drinking and driving and throwing, you know, airport bottles out their windows. That's not good for me with this type of shoulder. So that sucks, by the way. That does suck. So what I'm doing right now, don't do what I'm doing right now, plan just a little bit better. Although it's still not the worst, but ideally, yeah, don't plan a walk where you'll be walking along a highway after dark. Just like that, we're here. There's Cheney. And it really does go from road through the woods to being in Cheney. Still have to find the K Street station. Maybe I'll get to ride a double-decker bus back. So for this walk, Columbia Plateau Trail, Turnbull National Wildlife Refuge, not the most absolute scenic places, but you know, there is some stuff to look at, and if you're in the area and you just want a place where you can like put in some miles uninterrupted, it's a good place to do it. There's just a lot of stuff around the Spokane area, and I got to see one more today. And if I had it to do over again, I might go out the same trail I came in on. So be careful and plan ahead, and know that even if it's a beautiful natural area, the roads around it might be pretty bad. So that's what I have for this week. Got to see something new, and there will be more. Actually, so I looked at the map, and this is actually K Street, and the K Street station is right there, which means the view this way is what I was showing when I was talking about how weird it is to have a double-decker bus here. And yeah, it is kind of weird. I was wandering around in the dark woods, and oh, there it is. Might get that one, might get the next one, depends. Gonna be careful crossing this road. And yeah, and that's it though. It is a contrast.